Welcome to Four Sisters and a Brother, the podcast where faith, life, and real conversations come together. Join us each week as we explore topics that matter: faith journeys, life changes, family bonds, and everything in between. We're a lively crew of four sisters and one brother, navigating life with love, laughter, and a whole lot of heart. Whether you're looking for inspiration, practical advice, or just a cozy place to hang out, you're in the right spot. So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's dive in.
Well, I finally got down to a 20-minute mile. Thank you, Jesus. It was 25. So, hey.
Like on a treadmill or in real life on the street?
Well, yesterday I was not on the street because it was raining too. It was just raining too hard. So I did do a treadmill. I did the indoor track. So, yeah, the couch to 5K. I got down to a 20-minute mile on my own. Now, my friend came and joined me later on, and she was like, you know how if you do the app, it's like jog, and you jog for like a minute and a half, and then you walk for like 2 minutes. And as you go throughout the app, your running time gets longer and your walking time gets shorter. And I was struggling to just jog a minute and 30. I would get like 45 seconds in, and I would be huffing so bad. So my friend came, one of the girls I teach with, and she was like, "You're going to do this. You're going to do this. Come on, come on." And she made me run. Now, when she made me run at a 16-minute mile.
Oh, so you can run a 16-minute mile, but you just choose not
Yeah,
to.
she started her watch in addition to mine. And she said, "See, we did it. 16 minutes, 17 seconds or something like that." She's like, "So you can do this. You just got to push yourself." She's like, "And don't give up when you feel like you want to give up. Because, whoo, y'all, running is not, I'm not called to run. I'm just not called to run.
I didn't
Is
know
your
you were
knees
Run.
hurt?
Girl, knees hurt, booty hurt, back hurt, arm hurt, everything hurts. But at least I didn't get itchy leg. I did not get itchy leg.
So you're gonna try to run this?
No, the last time I did like a run walk combo. And if I can do that, I feel like I can beat the time I had before. My goal is to beat 57 minutes, which is what I did the very first time we did this, but that was also 10 years ago. So if I could, if I get done in 50 minutes, I will be proud of myself. So I'm going to walk some, run some. I'm trying to condition myself to the music tracks that I have, and time some of that out. So I'm working on it. I just want to know what y'all were doing because I ain't heard nobody else say anything about it. So I was just wondering. And Tiffany, did you sign up for the virtual one?
No.
She's never
Okay.
doing that again.
Again.
Again. But no,
Well,
I think I've gone up to the track at Fort Bend, and I know it's not a track. People are like, oh, you can be running on the street, but no, it's a street track because it's not like the track material isn't on it. It's just pavement. So, so I've been doing like some interval running, trying to see how far I can run without giving up and stopping, and doing a mix of run walk and doing at least 3 miles every time I go out there. And then I do some biking inside. It's been raining a lot here lately, and so I did not want to run in the rain, even though it might rain that day.
If it
Dang.
rains that day, I ain't gonna even lie, I'm not running.
Don't you got to pay money?
Yeah, well, they'll just get my $40 or whatever it is because I am not running in the rain. Yesterday, just getting to the Y and crossing the street, and my foot got wet and it was sloshing and squishing and squanching. I will not be running in the rain.
well,
I've done
I
I
interval
will cheer you
training.
guys on.
I just been walking. Hmm, just been walking. Nothing. Just walking. I told her, and I'm telling y'all too. I have no plans of running or jogging. Nothing. I'm just gonna walk it the whole way. That's what I'm
Well,
gonna
I had
Is
already
it?
resigned myself to be the last person anyway, because I feel like all of y'all are more athletic. So I already know that probably out of the five of us, more than likely I might be the last person. And I'm okay with that.
I
I
look
don't
at
feel
it
like
like
that's setting my
I got
standards low.
I got arthritis in one of my knees and all, so I just no, I'm walking. I ain't pushing it.
We just
Is it a
I might have
speed
to go to
walk?
work. Huh?
Is it a speed walk or are you just
Yeah,
leisurely
speed walk.
walking?
Yeah, but I more than likely I gotta go to work after I get done with it, so I'm just gonna walk.
Mm.
Oh, well,
Well, we got less than 30 days, so I suggest those of us who have not started get started. Those of us who haven't
mm-mm,
signed up should sign up. Tiffany,
mm-mm. What am I gonna do? Because I will
run
take
like
my
everybody
time.
else.
Y'all be done, and I still just be strolling out here on these streets.
4 o'clock in the afternoon. Where you at? Doing my
Mm-hmm.
5K?
It sure will.
You
Mhm.
done got picked up by the ambulance.
Well, that's the one thing I don't want to do. And you know, they changed the course after so long. If you're not to a certain point, they cut it off. Like it's not even a 5K anymore. They're like, you just go this way so you can get back to the start. And I don't want that to happen either. I'm trying to do good, do better.
Well, I did take a leap though. I'm quitting my gym, Candace. You know how you quit Orange Theory? I'm quitting the gym. I'm
Girl,
just
my
like,
stomach
whew,
dropped. I thought you was going to say I quit my job. I was going to say, what?
That's what I thought too.
no.
Woof.
I mean, shoot, it's just as dramatic. So April 24th is my last day at the gym.
It's
Why are you
And then I
expensive.
quitting?
it's expensive. I'm just gonna go to Planet Fitness. You know, they now have an app, so I don't still have to think about my workouts. I can just go to the app and pick one.
Who
So
has an app?
Planet Fitness.
Oh, they
And
have
it's
workouts on their app?
mm-hmm.
Why don't you? Is that free?
No.
With the membership.
You
Because
gotta
I really like Apple Fitness Plus. Their workouts are really good.
but I need like weights and stuff. And I
So you
we
can
have
still
a
pick it and go there and do it.
then I'm paying $10 for that and then still paying for a gym membership.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Oh,
It still
well,
probably come out cheaper than that gym.
it's only $30.
No, yo,
Planet
the
Fitness is $30.
I mean, for the black membership or whatever it is, so you can go anywhere.
Oh, girl, I go to the Y and it's cheaper than that. You might as well go there and get a
There,
class.
there is no Y close to me, so and you know I like to work out early.
So our Y has a 24/7 fob. You can go at 4 o'clock in the morning if you want to.
he's not
Okay.
close to her.
All right. Well, welcome to another episode of Four Sisters and Your Brother. I will be moderating this little discussion, and today our topic is on stereotypes. But before we get started, can I tell y'all? I've had the heat off because it's been warm, like 80 something degrees. But it's supposed to drop this week. So I have not turned on the air. And it has been like 86 in this house. And I am
Boo! Don't nobody care.
sweating. And plus I want to wait till the people come out and like actually clean the outside air conditioner unit. So because we get a lot of pollen. So I, since Friday, have been sweating up in this house. But you know what? At least I got a house to sweat in.
Well, because the rest of us was trying to hide from the tornado that was going down our
That
neighborhood
is
this
true.
week. I was sitting in the closet, y'all. I was holding onto the closet door and I could still feel the wind coming into the closet. I'm in the interior closet inside my bedroom and I could still feel a blast of air. That's how strong the wind was outside. And I just kept saying, Lord, please don't let me open this door and just be staring at my front yard. Please don't let me open this door and be staring at my front yard. God, it was scary. I don't think I've ever been in anything like that. It just, wow.
It was
Girl,
like,
the
get in your
sirens kept
safe
going
place.
off.
Get in your safe place. I'm like, I am in my safe place. I'm just standing in the hall.
Jocelyn, you
Um,
was gonna get blown away.
There
You
is
didn't
no
duck and
safe
cover.
place. There is no
You didn't
one.
duck and cover like what they used to tell us in school. You get down, you
And
cover
then
your
you
head.
and then you pull a mattress over yourself.
Well, I forgot the
Right.
mattress. Tiffany's a mattress queen.
yeah, I
Well,
didn't experience any of that. Um, it was nice where I was at. Um, no rain. I mean, a little rain one day, but not like y'all's and all. So And everything
Well,
was together when I got back home. So it was, yeah. Sorry, I had to go through that.
I did have a friend
well,
that whose parents, they still have a shell of a house, I should say, but they're
Oh
in a
man,
hotel.
dang.
They have no cars because trees in the front yard landed on both of the cars.
That's
And
crazy.
then the chimney is in the neighbor's yard, and there's just like flooding and insulation everywhere. And so they're in a hotel right now. I think she
prayers.
said their insurance is covering the hotel for like 2 weeks and then 4 months of like a rental stay or something, wherever they can go.
Like an Airbnb.
I don't
But
know.
did you know? Okay, before we get started, one more thing. Did you know this is what the guy at the city told me? If I have a tree in my yard and it falls over and like knocks the neighbor's house down, it's the neighbor's responsibility, not mine.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Because
That's
my
crazy,
neighbor's
right?
tree fell over into my yard and took the wires out of my house. Like took the wires that go from the pole into the house off the roof. The power and light company said it's your responsibility to put them back on. Should it had severed the wires, it would have been my responsibility to contact my electrician and have him put that pole back on the roof. But it wasn't severed, thankfully. But they was gonna say it was mine. It's my
That is crazy to
yeah.
me.
Well, I didn't know that because when my neighbor's tree fell into my yard, I went over there and said, "Y'all need to clean this up, or I'm turning this into my insurance company, and then they're going to come after you." And they went out there and got it.
Oh, well, I guess that works too. All right. So I was thinking about this topic on stereotypes, and my brain just start going on like, where do stereotypes start? How do we get them? So I just want to like an open conversation, and I'll give you a couple of stereotypes, with culturally and then religious base, and then we'll just go from there. We'll just let the conversation flow. So, does anybody want to take a stab? And I guess there's no wrong answer because we don't know of how stereotypes even got started.
I think you need to define a stereotype
I
first.
was. I was.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
Uh, well, uh, I think it's learned behavior.
Hmm.
One person feels uh that maybe they didn't like somebody at one time, and then they taught their offsprings the same thing. And then after a while, generation after generation, we know we don't like this person or these type of people because that's the way that my mammy taught me and my pappy told me, and so on. And uh, just because one person might have had a problem with them or at that one time and all, now everybody who looks like that has that same issue, that same problem. Is learned behavior. I got a story. So this happened some time ago, but I was me and my kid's mom, uh ex-wife at the time, or wife at the time, but ex-wife now, of course, was moving into our this apartment. An apartment was on the southwest side of Indianapolis. Let's just say it like that. And so I had my dad, he was helping me move in. You know how black folks
Our
do, had
dad.
your whole families to help move in and all. So we
Mhm.
was taking stuff into the house and all.
Yeah, he's our
And my
dad too.
dad
Our dad
was
too.
taking it was
Hmm.
taking in something. And this lady, she was had a baby carriage. She had a baby in the baby carriage and a little baby that was walking with her. Some white people. And so my dad is walking past and all like that. And the little boy who was walking with the mom says, "Look, mommy," and points up at my dad. And my dad is like, "Wow." So to me, that little boy, he couldn't form an opinion of what he think it is. That was learned behavior because of his parents.
Oh,
Okay.
well, I still think you need to define stereotype first because there's a difference between stereotype, prejudices, and racism.
And
And
biases.
and biases. And so I think that even what the story Dante just told does not fit in the stereotype category at
You don't think
all.
Well,
so?
he's
No.
generalizing. So stereotypes are simplified, often inaccurate and generalized belief or image about a group of people, which can lead to unfair judgments and assumptions. So in a way, when a young person calls someone of our color that, it is a general statement, but it is more on the lines of a racist statement because that's what they used to degrade Black people back in the day. And now it's just, I don't know why people use it. I hate it, but whatever. Um, but it is, so stereotypes are more along the generalized, simple assumptions, inaccurate beliefs about something.
Would it be fair to say that a stereotype turns into racism based on the intent?
I think so.
So, like, the intent is to demoralize or to bring low a group of people, therefore I stereotype them into this. So then that goes into racism opposed to just stereotyping.
Right. So
So
this is where my, go ahead, Candace.
I was just gonna say, so a stereotype is like the foundation of all the rest of those things. Like it
It's
all starts with a stereotype.
a generalized, inaccurate belief.
Man, real quick, real quick. So stereotype doesn't always have to be negative though either.
No, and we're going to get into that. So let me tell you where my mind went when I was thinking about stereotypes. Like, how in the world would they have gotten started? So, I'm just on a computer looking at stuff. We can go all the way back to the Bible days if you want to start there. Because you know how you had the Jews and the Gentiles. The Jews didn't like the Gentiles. Why? Do
They
we
said
know
they was
why?
they said it was unclean.
Well, it goes back to even what God told them when they first came out of Egypt and they were a nation. And the Israelites symbolized people of God, whereas Gentiles represented worldly systems. So, God told them, you don't mix with them, you don't marry with them, you don't do this, you don't do that. And so by God making that separation, I think that's where their stereotypes first developed. It Now he called them a people unto himself. He did not say that they were better than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they took on that mentality eventually, since we're the chosen people, and they wouldn't call themselves chosen because I don't think they completely knew the plan of God at that time to really save the entire world. He was using them as a vehicle to send Christ into the world to die for everybody. But somewhere along the way, they got set apart, mixed up with better.
Better than. Right. Right. And so that's what I was thinking about. But then you also have the Greeks who saw the non-Greeks as barbarians as well. We're still not seeing any where race comes in, anything like that, until we get to more modern day. And you have the European colonization of people.
Everyone. Mhm.
Yes. So my mind started going to, let me look up European colonism, and European powers expanded into Africa, the Americas, into Asia, and they developed racial hierarchies to justify slavery, land theft, and exploitation. And I think with those racial hierarchies came all types of stereotypes for different types of people. It's not just black and white. It's not just, they probably thought some Asian countries were uneducated or however the case may be. And so on and so on. And just like Dante says, we get to now, and it's just learned inaccurate beliefs of a whole race, of a whole country. Leah.
You can finish your thought. Go ahead. But I'm just letting you
No,
know
a
I'm going to be
whole,
next.
yeah. So the whole, it's just inaccurate thoughts of a group of people, and very generalized to the point that I think people really believe these things about another race or a group of people that may not necessarily be all the way true. We're not going to say there's no truth in it, but may not be all the way true.
Well, and I think the other thing is we can't just look at race. We can go down the gender lines as well. There are some stereotypes that have been given to men versus women being in education. I remember going through a lot of classes, especially my math methods classes, that focused a lot on how to engage females in math, and that women were not as strong of a math person or analytical person. They needed to be more in the arts, or they need to be more in something and down that road. So, and those stereotypes developed, and we can go back to the Bible for that. How many of them try to justify Eve's failure in the garden to say that women are weaker? And even reading the King James version, when it talks about the woman being the weaker vessel, so they take that meaning as, in general, women don't have what it takes. Now, I'm not a feminist in this standpoint that it's like anything you can do, I can do better, because God created gender roles, okay? But I think also stereotypes were birthed out of that, even looking at the scriptures. So there became this hierarchy in men's minds when it comes to women. So it's not just around race, not just around culture. I think it's around gender as well.
It's around a lot of things, so age, all of that.
You
So
know, oh,
go ahead before I start.
I think your original question was, where do you feel like this all originated? And I kind of feel like it all originated from man and ourselves, looking at ourselves higher than we ought to. Like I think it comes from a pride standpoint. I'm smart, which makes me smarter than all of you. And so I assume that everyone who looks like me, thinks like me, acts like me. So people who don't clearly don't look like me, they don't act like me, they don't think like me, they're not as smart as I am. And I kind of feel like the basis of stereotyping and where it came from is love for me, like pride, this prideful standpoint that I'm just better than all these other people because I can't see my own faults. So I'm not seeing my own faults. I can see the faults in other people. And so I think it's a pride thing.
Yeah.
And I think it can happen not just across races, it
Mhm.
can happen within races. There's
Oh yeah.
stereotypes within races and stereotypes within genders. Like we will turn the barrel on each other, so to speak. So, and that again comes from the root is pride.
So what are some stereotypes in races?
I,
Oh,
Within races,
Yeah,
like,
within
within
okay,
racism.
we could start within our race.
hmm,
Well, I know within in uh, Black culture, colorism. Colorism to me is a stereotype. If you light skin, then you are prettier. It's assumed that you are prettier, that you have more going for you, that you have better hair, that you have more opportunity, that you have those kinds of things. So I think colorism within ours involves a lot of stereotypes. That if you're darker tone, you tend to not be as smart, that you tend to be lazy, that you tend to be more of a threat. And so, even within our own race, I think that is a stereotype that we fight with one another about.
I piggyback off of that because I have had someone tell me that before, that dark-skinned people are those are the people who steal. They're violent and all. And I'm like, what? I said, I don't do any of that stuff. They be like, nah, I can't trust it. I mean, because you're too close to the original, you know what I mean? So, but the lighter you are, the lighter you are, and
You get
the
a
straighter,
pass.
yeah, you get that
You
pass
get a
and all. You can,
pass.
I
There
mean,
is a such thing as light privilege. We talk about white privilege, but
Mm-hmm.
there's something to be said for
I mean,
light
and I feel like that
privilege.
even stems back to like slavery times and all, because the lighter folk they was in the house, and the dark folk like myself was probably in the field and all. So I mean, And they even did it at that time too. So
There is
We
even a saying like that's so light skinned. Have y'all heard that?
hmm
Like
hmm
that's so
No,
light
but
skinned.
I
You've
have
never
not.
heard
Yeah.
that?
I have not.
No.
Wow,
But
I've heard
okay.
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know,
And
like
I
they
Light
say,
skin
first
is
world
more
problems.
light skin is more pretty. Everybody likes the mixed babies because they're more pretty than all the other babies. Like
and I've seen oogaboos, both,
Wow.
both.
Wow. Tiffany's on a
But you
roll
know,
this season. I
but you know,
swear she just saying all kinds of stuff.
Ooh, good
but
boo.
you, but you know, I think it's
Just-
also perpetuated in media. Because if you notice, I don't know if y'all have ever had this discussion, even in like some of the cartoons, the villains have the darker hair. They may not be black, but they're darker skin. And then
Good
the
guy is white.
non-villains, the good guys are, lighter and they got blonde hair or whatever the case may be. Like even in Lion King, where you're not even dealing with people, Scar, he had the dark mane, he had the scar all on
He
his
had a deeper
face.
voice,
He had
which
it,
Mm,
yeah,
darks, yeah, all of that. And
mhm.
all
see,
of
the thing
that.
is, a lot of us don't pick that out. But I remember very, and I know this is going way back to a more polarized day for Black people. But I used to tell people all the time, it always bothered me watching Tom and Jerry because the stereotype of Black women was portrayed in that. Whereas when Tom was owned by the white owner, her legs were skinny. She wore high heels. You know, you could only see from their legs, down.
Mhm.
She always had on the apron that had lace around it, very pretty. But when Tom was owned by the Black lady, her legs were fat. She had slippers on, and
She
she
and
got
she couldn't speak.
she
She
couldn't
couldn't speak.
speak. She that whole uneducated vibe, like y'all are not smart, was portrayed. Now, is it that blatant today? No, but some of those things still carry on.
I
Yeah.
think it goes through lines of like socioeconomics. Okay, so you can have African Americans who are in an upper class and they'll still look down on African Americans that are in a lower class, middle to low class, and say, you people, you just didn't work hard as I did. That's the stereotype that you're not smart because you didn't work like I did. You didn't get you didn't get yours, so oh well, sort of situation. And I kind of feel like that is a stereotype. Everybody, I don't think that God distributes intelligence unequally. There are some geniuses that just so happen to be born in the hood. And what they're lacking is opportunity and not necessarily aptitude. But you can have somebody who has a lot of money, who's put themselves in good positions, who look down on people regardless of whether you're smart or not. It's your surroundings makes you stupid. So
Right.
you're
Mhm.
automatically stupid. You went to that school, you're stupid. I remember being told because I went to a public school system that I was dumb. And I was like, but why am I able to pass this class in college and you people don't even know the basics of algebra? And I'm like, wait a minute, I was doing your work, but I'm supposed to be coming from the dumb school. I'm supposed to be an idiot. And so I
People.
mean, I see it. I seen it a lot when I started getting older. There was a, I went to. Well, I don't know if I say that, but I went into a one class that I just didn't take a test to test out of in college. I should have took the test because I could have tested out of it, but I didn't realize I could, and so I wound up taking this test or this class that I was just far above, and so I was able to just do all the work. Just it was easy to me, and there were people in there just struggling of all colors, and I was like. I thought I was dumb. Like when you get to college, you start seeing that I'm not, I've been told for a very long time that you come from a place in which you can't really think. So you're going to be challenged in college. But when I got to college, I was like, this is easy. And then you
Mhm.
realize you've been lied to. Like, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm just as smart, if not smarter than you. And I think part of that comes because of a stereotype based on color and socioeconomic background and your aptitude when you're African American.
Now, let's just segue into that, not just being African American, but being poor. And I see it all the time if you are in poverty, as someone who works in education, because those stereotypes rule, teachers set their expectations by that. So that's why you heard that, Jocelyn. Oh, well, you go to a public school, or if you go to a public school in this area, then my assumption is based on that area and the stereotypes that have been fed to me, you can't achieve, that you're behind, that you're not on grade level, you probably can't read, da, 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 all of those things. So I have been in buildings where people set their expectations to that. So then the teacher teaches to that. So you have students like you, Jocelyn, who are sitting in there, never being challenged, never being pushed beyond their limit because of the stereotype that I have heard and that I feel like I'm experiencing here. I'm going to teach down here. And so it is happening in schoolhouses all over this nation. My kids, I mean, I have literally had, as a master teacher, had people tell me, my kids can't do that. Yes, they can. You need to set the expectation and put aside whatever. Oh, well, they come from this kind of home and they come from this kind of neighborhood and they had this happen to them. Some people have legit problems, but they can if you have the expectation. But unfortunately, stereotypes drive how education works.
But I think going to my high school, I was challenged. I think that the teachers looked at us because we were supposed to be like me and Tiffany went to the same school. We were in a magnet program that emphasized
math
and science. And our English classes, my English classes were higher than the regular English classes. And so we were challenged, but I think the idea comes from is just the place you come from. That school doesn't produce smart kids. And so I, being smart, didn't realize it until I got around dumb people. And I was like, wait a minute.
Oh, wow.
I won't say dumb. When I got around other people that wasn't as educated, that came from schools who were the top in the state. And I'm like, I thought I was supposed to be the slow one. I thought that this was supposed to be challenging when I got to college, but turns out I was more prepared than them. But it was a mental thing because I had to change the way I thought about myself, my upbringing, and the school I attended, that it wasn't shortchanging me.
But we also got to look at, even though there's stereotypes and they're usually negative, there are some people who fall into those stereotypes that reinforce some other people's views of how they see other people. Does that make sense?
And we went to school with those people too.
Yes.
we was right along with them. Like
some common racial stereotypes for Black Americans: criminals, lazy, violent and aggressive, unintelligent. But on the flip side, athletic, musically inclined, resilient and strong, and we just got swag. What do y'all think about those?
Wait, can I go backwards for a second? Because I was going to say that stereotypes also fall into names. That's happened to me, where I had a friend who was having a kid, and they said that they wanted their name to be something that like wouldn't be, and so she didn't outright say it, but like ghetto. You know what I mean? So she was like your name is fine, but like she didn't want to name her daughter like
"sh" on the end.
Yeah, it ended up being something like something simple, like Ashley. But like, just because your name is Deshonda or Daquanda doesn't mean like you extra ghetto and you do this all the time. Because that's another stereotype.
That's true, but employers don't care anything about that. Some of them see that name and be like, "Whoop," in the trash.
And it's a stereotype. And
those are facts. Those are facts. I worked in HR before, and they told me this. I won't say where. I won't divulge where I was, but they said, "Oh, if you can't pronounce these names, then just, we'll just go with the ones that we can."
Well, another stereotype, Tiffany, because I work in the food industry and all. and that is the stereotype that Black people do not tip. And I got a story about that too.
And
So
we
just this
do.
past weekend, I went to a Black establishment because I'd like to support my people. And this person, when they seen us sit down, this waitress came to me. She asked, "What do we want to drink?" Told her what we want to drink. She brought the drinks out. She took my order, and I did not see her no more. Somebody else brought the food out. I wanted to get some sauce for my fish and all like that. I had to ask somebody else who went to go find this lady and then bring my sauce to me and all. Still didn't see her. She came, and the next time I seen her, she had the check in her hand. So to me, she did not give me good service. And let me tell you this, and my wife can attain to this. I love to tip. I start at 25%
Ooh.
faithfully. She was going to get it, but she did not that day. And for me not to tip someone well now like that, they had to do some really crappy service. And the thing about it though is I don't understand why you're in customer service. You know that you're there to serve the person. You know that's how you make your money. Then do your job. If you don't want to do your job, don't do that type of job. And I mean, many times people have missed out on opportunities with me. I know specifically, and because they see who I am, and they be like, I'm not gonna get a tip, no way. So I'm gonna treat you that way. I'm gonna treat you that way. But for the people who do come in there and do their job and all like that, I tip them well.
You know what? John and I literally just had this conversation the other day, and he's a tipper. He will tip with good service and bad service, but
Mhm.
he also lets that server know you did not do a good job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving you this tip because that's what I do, but you did not do a good job here. And he'll
Mhm.
tell them why and list the reasons of why they did not do a good job. And then some, he says some of them look like, okay. And then, some of them may ignore it or whatever, but he'll still tip them. He may not tip them as much as he would have,
Thing.
but he still tips. Me, I will still tip. I won't tell them that, but they won't get as much as they could have got for me. And I don't start at 25%. I start at 20.
It goes back to Giles' birthday. We went out to that restaurant that shall remain nameless.
My Lord, my Lord.
Mm.
And
Ugh.
somehow out of the whole establishment, we get
The
skipped
one
over. And then we get the one and only
biracial. I think
black
she was bi.
black server in the whole place. It's probably like give her to Rachel, whatever her name was, because them her people. But she got a very nice tip that night.
Sure did.
Sure did.
She did a
And
She
she
got
wonderful
a
did a good
job.
job
very
too.
nice tip.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that made her
Well,
New Year.
that asks the question, do you think people change their behavior based on stereotypes?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I
Code
mean, do you
switching.
act differently?
It's a thing.
Code switching, but or even, we have to explain what code switching is, but even I know sometimes, we go into places, Liam, why you so loud? Because you don't want to, and y'all chide me at times because you don't want to fulfill the stereotype people are already thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
I
you
think
do
it
be playing
affects,
your phone at the table,
And you be do be
And I
loud.
don't like that.
videos.
first of all, I don't do that in
Gito.
public.
Gito.
I don't do
Yes,
that
you
in
do.
public.
Don't like it.
Says
Don't.
who?
Says me. I do not do that in public.
Dang, she don't even realize it.
I do not play my phone out loud in public at a restaurant. I don't do that. I've never done that.
I see people doing that in the grocery store though, and it's annoying me. Like I'm like talk out loud to their friend over the phone, and they're talking back, and I'm like, oh, girl, what he say? Girl, you should drop him. Blah blah. I don't need to know your business like that.
But back to what I was saying, I will tip anyway because I don't want to fulfill the stereotype that Dante just said, even if the service is bad. And so, and unlike other people, like I would never treat anybody like this anyway, but you don't feel that you can be an authentic you because it immediately gets chalked up as to one of those stereotypes. So if they bring you bad food or they have bad service, if you say something, then it's like, oh, you're being difficult, because that's another stereotype. They're difficult to handle. And it's like, so if I say, hey, I ordered a cheeseburger and you just brought me soup, then it's like, and then it's almost like a two-way street too, because sometimes then they get super over apologetic. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, because they're scared you're just gonna blow up on them. And and I've had people tell me, when you go into like the stereotypes you had listed, Tiffany, like the angry Black woman or whatever. Well, you're just not like the others. That's what I've been told.
I've been
several
told that
times.
too. You're not
You're
like
not
the
like
rest
the
of them. I'm like, wait a
others.
minute. Please
The
explain
exception
that.
to the rule.
Please,
What
what
is
is the
Please
others?
explain.
Well, you don't get loud, and you don't snap your fingers, and you don't roll your eyes, and I can just have a conversation with you. I feel comfortable talking to you, but not them. And I'm like, there's millions of people just like me.
You know
This
what?
stereotype that you have in your head is not applicable to 100%. Are there some people, like Tiffany said, that fit into that category? Absolutely. But they are the minority compared to the majority.
I think this goes. Oh, go ahead, Candace.
I was going to say, it's just the loudest ones or the ones that they done looked at on social media that they go by, but not real life.
Yeah, I was going to say media plays a huge role in how people see us. Because have you ever been watching the news? You're not watching it, but you're hearing it, and something horrible happens, and you think to yourself, what do you think?
Man,
I
there
I
must have
hope
been
this
some
isn't a black guy. I hope this isn't a black guy. You're like, oh my gosh.
Wait.
And then you turn slowly towards the screen, like, don't be. Yes.
And somebody else pop up there, you're like, all right.
Oh,
Wait,
thank you, Lord.
Have y'all seen that SNL sketch?
Yes,
that
they
does
have a
that?
whole bunch of them, just like that.
Oh my gosh,
It's
I'm
like,
laughing. It was
please,
like,
please.
woman walks out of the store and did not pay for her nails. He was like, oh, that's because the stereotype is that's usually Black folks. But then they said, when they showed the picture and it was a white lady, they was like, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
and
but it's funny.
It's true, like with everything though. There's a idea of what our culture is. For example, I was at a job, won't say where, and I was at the vending machine about to just get me something out to eat. This guy comes in who's Caucasian, and he comes in with his
Caucasian,
Caucasian, I'm sorry. Caucasian with his friend, and they come in together, and they're trying to think of a song. They can't remember the song. It's a rap song. And they're like, it's that rap song. And then they turn and look at me. He walks up like, I know you know it. It's the one that goes boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, I haven't listened to rap music in like 15 years. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but the assumption is you're Black. You know that music. Come on. And once he seen that I didn't know what he was talking about, it was like the embarrassment starts to come, and they're like, I don't know how to get out of this. I don't know how to get out of this. Okay. And he walked off because you can tell that he used this very much stereotype to put me in a place of, hip hop, right? There was a time in my life in which I did know hip hop quite well, but I had stopped listening to that a long time ago. I didn't know what he was talking about. He was just embarrassed.
And have you ever dealt with, after that happens, this happened to be, after that happens, when I did not know the information in which they was asking me about, man, you ain't really Black. I can't be really Black because I can answer your question. Oh man, that's a bold statement right there.
That's a very bold statement.
Yeah.
But I think what we're discussing is lived experiences from a Black person, African American. But you know what? It's on all sides. If we had white folks sitting on this podcast with us today, or Native Americans, or Asians,
not all white women are Karens.
Not all white women are Karens.
They're not all white people that come from the South Side are just, because there's a South Side of indie type idea that white people are
impoverished.
Yes.
That kind of.
Not all Hispanics are good or hard workers.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to give you some white American stereotypes, and although we can't speak from our lived experiences, but you could just have your opinion or not. So, some common white American stereotypes: entitled and privileged, lack of culture, ignorance of racism and social issues. And then on the flip side, successful and leaders, hardworking and independent, friendly and open minded, innovative and scientifically advanced, good credit, and financially stable.
My Lord, my Lord.
I mean,
And you know what? And those are
it's not.
exactly what they are, because I think amongst us, we all here have friends that are not Black, our non-Black friends, our white friends. And, we know that they don't necessarily fit those stereotypes. And so, even though they're not on here testifying to their experiences, but we know that they don't fit those stereotypes, and that we can't just lump sum everybody. Generalizations are very difficult.
And they're
Generalizations are very
dangerous.
hard. They're very dangerous. I run a book club um, after school, and it was just so that we can just enjoy books with no tests, no assignments attached to it. And every month we have a theme. And so this month, our theme was baseball, because baseball starts in the spring. And so we've read, just like Josh Gibson, it's a children's book about a girl, stereotype girls can't play athletics. She wanted to be a baseball player, but girls in the 1920s did not play baseball because it was a male sport. Then we read this book called Baseball Saved Us. And this is where it gets down to generalizations being super harmful. The basis of the story is being told from a child's perspective that they are literally playing baseball inside an internment camp because they're Japanese Americans. And the setting of this story is during World War II. And so, of course, there was the bombing of Pearl Harbor, which Candace and I got to see last year as a part of history. And so the generalization or the stereotype that was attached to them was all of the Japanese are out to get us. And we know that y'all done infiltrated this country and y'all getting ready to just tear us to smithereens. So they took them all based on that stereotype, that generalization, and they lost everything. Candace and I were able to go to Bainbridge Island, and it was in Seattle, very sobering experience how dangerous generalizations can be. That island was pretty much populated by Japanese Americans. And so just like they have the trails that African Americans walked to get on slave ships, they had their own trail where they walked to get on a ship and be carried to California to internment camps. I don't know how many families that guy said lived there, but only one of them made it back to their property after 3 or 4 years of being locked up. And it's only because the neighbors held on to it and sold it back to them for $1. But everybody else's life was destroyed based on one generalization. So they are super dangerous. So I guess my question is, how do we stop stereotyping?
Get rid of media, which that ain't gonna happen. So
I think it's education can help. I can only think of things that can help, but not get rid of, because this thing runs deep. Was you going to say something, Tiffany?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if we can, because are we considered the exception to the rules? Because you're always for one of us, you're going to have someone who fits these stereotypes. And it's like,
Or do we not stereotype people?
we just need to love like Jesus loved.
You know what I really do think what helps is relationship with people of other cultures. And that's one thing I'm thankful for. My church is a fairly mixed church when it comes to ethnicity and race and socioeconomic and all of that, and being in relationship, not just surfacey, come to Sunday morning worship and then go home. I mean, doing life together, like hanging out. I went with one of my friends, one of my white friends from church. We went to a bookstore in Noblesville and hung out for the whole afternoon, just talking and laughing and just having fun. But then I turned around and I went with some of my Black friends from church, and we went down to Louisville and hung out for a while. And then, I mixed with some of, we didn't talk about age, but one of the older ladies at church, She considers me her granddaughter. She's in her early 80s, and we have lunch at least once or twice a quarter at Panera Bread. And I literally give about 4 to 5 hours to her sitting there and just talking about life. And I've learned so much. And she's happens to be white, but she's older and she's lived a long time and she's got some experiences that I need to hear. And so that has helped me a lot to not just chalk people up into a stereotype boundary because I've had these relationships with other people. So
You know,
You know
I'm
what?
black. Well, I'm black. Do you think it's harder for people that aren't black to do that? Does that make
I don't
sense?
think it's
To
harder
make
because
the effort
you have.
to
I
like
don't think
make
it's
the effort.
harder. It's a matter of making a choice. You're gonna choose to do it because you can say it's hard on both sides if you want to say that. But
I was just
And
asking.
and I think we need to think the same way because I did have some stereotypes about Christianity
Jesus,
too as well. Um, and I think we need to think along those same lines as what you were saying, Leah, about relationship because it's hard. I won't say it's hard, but when you're talking about religion and different religions, and this is Jocelyn's thing. As much as you try to want them to see where you're coming from, they're going to try to want you to see where they're coming from, and it's like a tug that you probably it's hard to get anywhere with those conversations. Um, so just briefly, some Christianity, some stereotypes. We're judgmental and hypocritical, anti-science and anti-progress, overly conservative, pushy, and pushy as on the lines of you try to get to converting people. But then on the flip side, we're charitable and compassionate, family oriented, and faithful and optimistic.
Some of those don't even
So,
go together. They don't even match.
well,
Like the
I
good
just
parts don't make sense if you have the bad parts too. Okay.
but I think when it comes to especially Christianity, because there's so many types of Christianity, you have Catholics are Christian and you have Protestants that are Christian. And so and it's we all believe something different, a little bit different. Um, but I also feel like if your basis is trying to live your life like Jesus lived his life on the earth, then we should all have that in common. Um, so real quickly, any comments about stereotypes about Christianity? Because I know this social media be making us look
Crazy.
terrible.
Yeah, I do.
crazy.
It's about religion in general. Um, I guess it's not. I guess it's not a stereotype. This is more of a fact that and I think we had talked about this at one time. Certain religions you can't joke with or joke about, but Christianity you can joke with all day because Christianity they're not going. It's turn the other cheek fully. And I like it. They're not gonna do nothing. They ain't gonna do nothing. They ain't gonna do nothing to you. Okay, you can do whatever you want to with them and all, but speak like maybe Muslims or something like that. You can't talk about them, or it's going down. It's going down for real.
It's like the
I,
Christians are the doormat of religion, and you can really just step on them, and they're supposed to respond a certain way.
Mhm.
Therefore, we can do that.
Because I
Jesus
know some,
turned over tables.
right.
Just clear out the temple. Shoot.
But I think the stereotypes of Christianity is definitely difficult when people view you and lump you in with the sorts of experiences they've had with a Christian, and they don't
Hmm.
differentiate between denominations or nothing. It's like you people. And
Mhm.
so what would happen is they'll wind up taking it out on you that's something that happened to them. I think we talked about this in one of these other episodes where people tend to just, they've had some sort of experience with some Christian person. It's been horrible. It was mean. It was whatever. And they're not showing the love of Christ, whoever this person was. They're not following Christian principles, but that doesn't matter. So the next Christian they come across, you're going to catch it.
Mhm.
I think you also have to understand we also have an enemy who, especially in the realm of Christianity, who does not want people to experience the abundant life that Christ has to offer. And so we have to look at the mentality that comes with that. Now, have we done some of this stuff to ourselves? Yes. Yes, we have. And if we're honest, we have done some of these things. And it's unfortunate, that those are the things that get magnified in the media. We've had a rough time in the last couple of years with prominent Christian ministers falling. And even though this is happening in other religions that are not Christianity, it doesn't get the press but at the same time, so we have to understand that we also have an enemy that has also convinced people of things that are not true. For instance, I saw a TikTok about, it was a man who was proclaiming to be a gay Christian, and he was going on and on and on or whatever. So people were commenting in the commentary, and I thought, should I wade in? Should I not? Should I wade in? And so I did make a comment. We believe, he was talking about the Bible, and I was like, if you believe the Bible and you read what the Bible says and you say this is your standard, then basically what we talked about in our episode with the pastors, then your life needs to come up to the Bible, not try to make the Bible fit you. That's something. And immediately this girl jumped on, see, that's the hate you spewed. How is that hateful? The enemy has conditioned her and others to believe, if you don't agree with me, you hate me. There's a difference between disagreeing with somebody and hating somebody. And so I finally just said, I really wish I could have this conversation in person. I was like, social media is not the place to have it. I said, because I want you to hear my heart and not just hear what you, and be ready and hear. I want you to hear my heart, but I also don't want you to just sit there and be thinking about the next way you're going to attack me with your words. If you honestly want to know a real Christian's perspective, I'd love to have this conversation. Do they want that? No, they just want to be right. So I think, there's a bunch of different mixes when it comes into stereotypes of Christians. Some of this we have done to ourselves. We've made, remember what is that? They have Real Housewives of Atlanta. They had the Real Preachers of whatever, those kinds of things. Enforce those stereotypes. They run around with mansions and, wearing Prada and all these other high expensive and running from here to there. And they got different wives and all this other stuff. They enforce those. But that literally is a fraction of the body of Christ compared. Get to some of these, be boots on the ground and go visit some of these churches that are really doing the work of the Lord. And so I think we have to consider that we also have an enemy. And as the bottom line for any stereotype, it's going to take the Holy Spirit to help us love one another. I think that's why Jesus's command in the New Testament is love me and then love each other as you would love yourself. And it takes the Holy Spirit to help you do that. It takes the Holy Spirit to help you love yourself, and it takes the Holy Spirit to help you love other people as Christ would love them. Christ looks beyond our gender. He looks beyond our race. I was reading this morning in my read through the Bible, the Good Samaritan story. He looks beyond our ethnicity. He looks beyond our economic status. God looks beyond all of these things. And if we love like Christ loves, we should be looking past that stuff too. But it takes the Holy Spirit. And so if you're a Christian, then you got to get in there. And then you start exhibiting the fruit of the Spirit. Patience when you come across the person who is not patient, whether they're Black or white or whatever. You have gentleness even when somebody's attacking you or whatnot. The Holy Spirit should be our standard of how we live. And that's all.
Well, and on that note, all right. Well, thank you for listening and watching another episode of Four Sisters and a Brother. Leave your comments, like and share We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen or watch. Make sure you like and share. We'll see you next time.